Hello, lovely people. Welcome to my channel. Hello. My name is Margaret Pinard. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author and an eclectic reader. And you're going to hear about neither of those things at the moment. Actually, one of those things. But we're going to be dealing with curriculum. I've put this off, I don't know, maybe 6 times. I started trying to think about report card in December and just put it off and put it off and put it off. And on my schedule of video topics, it's really day to day anymore, whether it's a wrap up, whether it's an author feature, whether it's a special observations about books. You never know, really. So this is going to be my report out for my fall curriculum. I did do that in October. And switching forward to winter quarter, what will my classes be? So this is going to be a moment of truth. I'm going to have to fess up to how well I did. And the thumbnail is an accurate indication of how well I feel I did. So we'll talk about those 3 courses that I thought I would focus on for October, November, December, and how well that worked. And then we'll flip forward to what we're going to do going forward. And it's a big sea change in strategy. So I don't know if you guys out there are doing personal curriculum experiments and have thoughts about what works for you or doesn't, feel free to share those in the comments because I jumped onto the trend and it didn't go so well. So I have a question of the day up. Do you remember your bad grades or your good marks more? I thought that was an interesting question. And we'll gather some of our responses in just a little bit. I'm going to say hello to the chat first. We have Lynn with the pretty hummingbird. Greetings from the bowels of the polar vortex here in northeastern Ontario. Whew, that's got to be cold. I was just talking to someone in mid-Ontario, and they said it was very cold. So, hope your furnace keeps working. Cat Paw is here. Hello, with me in the non-exploding trees region of the continent. Ven with a hello. And Jim Burr. We've had snow here in Tbilisi, which is not common in January. Really? I would have considered that a cold part of the world, but maybe it's earlier in the winter? Interesting. Anita is here. AF Stewart, fellow author. Eva, hello, another author. Gareth, another author. Gosh, I'm collecting lots of authors today. That's great. Hello, Gareth. I hope you're well too. And let's see. I'm starting to get answers. So I'm going to star these and read them together. Lynn says, interesting about the weather in Georgia. Yep. Hello, Julie. Enjoying another beautiful day in sunny Southern California. Don't hate, right? Yeah, exactly. We all live where we live for different reasons. Eva says, exploding trees and snow rollers. 2 winter phenomena I only learned of this season. What's a snow roller? It's not a vehicle? What's a snow roller, Eva? How did I live so long not knowing? I don't know. Well, they're inventing new terms all the time. Polar vortex was not a thing when I was a kid. So, yeah, Cat Paw agrees. Simulation update. Okay. Snow rollers, little balls of snow that form on their own. Like how an avalanche starts. I mean, wow. Okay. So for Georgia, Jim says January is statistically the driest month. If we get snow, it is usually in late February or early March. Okay, so it's later. All right. Interesting. I will say I am continuing, finally, picking back up in the Scrivener files of my mom's letters from 1984. Getting closer to the end here with a few months to go. She is in March, late March, and they went to York for a visit. And she said it snowed. And so I thought, wow, that's late. So yeah, the north reaches, snowing in late March. Eva says on flat ground, it seems, but yeah. Okay, yeah, same idea. Like just the wind being responsible for snow rollers. Yeah, I'd never heard that before either. But I mean, I'm the West Coast, so I don't know much about snow, period. Freely admit it. Ben says, I'd never heard of snow rollers, so had to Google. You're not getting them. You have the mild winter. Hello, Erin. Welcome, welcome. And Lynn says not quite -40, which is the same in Fahrenheit or Celsius. That's crazy. Yet. So it's the warm part of the day. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Whew, 1 p.m. I hope I witness snow rollers. Cute. Yeah, maybe it'll be cute. Okay. So we're here to talk about report cards. This is me transitioning from my fall curriculum ideas here, where I wrote those out back in October, and I shared them with you. And let's report back, right? So there are 3 areas that I had focused on, and let's go over how well I did. So photo organization. This was an attempt to upgrade or revamp my system of organizing photos. Basically, beforehand, it has always been back up the computer once a month onto a physical drive. And when I do that beforehand, I do upload all my photos from my phone so that that is included in the latest backup. And so that's my method, my formula for how often and how I add photos to my library. Oh, and I didn't check this, so let me go ahead and check. As of November 17th, 2025, I had 84,302 photos, 3,018 videos, and that is basically from 2000 on. That's as far back as it goes. And let's see if it'll tell me. In my library now, it is 88,211. So an increase of about 4,000 over 3 months. It's a great direction. So yeah, there's a lot to manage. And looking at that number, that means that I've probably got a lot of photos I could delete. And they're not very organized. There's been a series of different types of organization because of the changes in Apple's applications, right? iPhoto to Photos was a big change and it created a lot of problems. I finally got out of those problems of duplicates, I think. But we still have a broken legacy of organizational formats. So unfortunately, not much has changed. I am still only doing it every month. A couple weeks ago, I thought, what if I changed to doing this every Sunday? And that way I had fewer photos to tag and label and, cull basically as I upload them. And I thought about it and then I didn't do it because my Sunday got away from me. So I did open up and read some articles about how to organize photos digitally. I did think about it. I did straighten out the duplicate situation. I did look at how long it takes to do the tagging stuff. I do about 500 photos worth in 3 hours. So if you take 84,000 and you think, well, maybe a quarter of those are already labeled, and you have 60,000 left, and then every 500 is 3 hours. Like that's an unaccomplishable goal, right? So I need a new way of thinking about this, which is why I got stuck. And so I'm giving myself a C instead of an F because I did try and I did keep up my old system. I just didn't figure out any ways to improve it or motivate myself to make even small inroads. This may be a little bit of perfectionism because the thought or the theory is, well, if you can't get it all done, then what's the point of getting even a little bit done? Maybe. But like the goal is to be able to minimize decisions. I put this in. The end result that I wanted was to minimize decision making at each point of the process so that I have a cleaned up, tagged archive and I can share snippets. I was envisioning myself as a reward or a way of sharing content, making them blog posts or making some of these old photos print outable and then putting them on cards and making them part of the bookish mail benefit, which would be really fun. But I think partly because, there's not a lot of engagement on the bookish mail tier, and partly because it's just such a gargantuan undertaking to do all those tens of thousands of photos. I haven't figured out how to make this doable, how to make it attemptable. So maybe you guys have ideas about how to jump into something midway that is already like, how do you eat an elephant one spoonful at a time kind of feeling. So let's see. What nuggets of knowledge do you have for me about photo organization? Let's see. You're all talking about weather. It's -10 Fahrenheit in Eva's neck of the woods. Smack back. I don't know what that means. Okay. Greg is here. Hello, hello. Not an author, but I should get back to work on my obituary and my epitaph. Oh my goodness. We just took a turn in that comment. I don't want to wait until the last minute. Yeah, I was just getting an email about make sure you put a beneficiary on your insurance. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm getting those emails already. Evan says, that's a lot of photos. I probably have less than 1,000. I forget I can take photos on my phone. Oh, I take photos a lot. It's the way I document life and remember things. So again, like I said, a lot of those need to be culled because they're reminders that are time sensitive and then no longer have any meaning. But a lot of the pictures I take nowadays and for the past 5 years or so have been plants, sky, just environmental things that make me happy. So I don't know. Do I delete those? I think they'd be great for bookish mail. So we'll see. And I'm going to hold on to your answers for question of the day for the break time between fall and winter. All right. Greg has the first line of my obituary written. Greg was born at an early age. Oh dear. All right. A friend and I were just discussing this, says Eva. She wants to make a humorous one. And I said, as funny as her friends are, it'll be hard to do when it's needed. Yeah, that's a good point. Hello, Mike from If Raff Reads from Durban, where it is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So sunny, it sounds like for Mike, just like Julie. Hope you're all okay with the extreme weather. Knock on wood. I have over 100,000 photos stored. I should clear it out a bit. I want to print the ones of people. That's a good focus, I think. Canvas, maybe some of the pretty nature ones. And then, I don't know, delete. Yeah, it's hard to know what to do with memories, right? I saw a video clip yesterday that someone was talking about their memories becoming a subscription fee because of Apple's shenanigans. And I thought, oh, yeah, because we are less able to remember things as a species because of our attention economy. I feel that we are now more ripe for cultivating as paid model for remembering things or visuals. Took photos of film too. Oh yeah, would have a dozen to develop at a time. Always been such a photo person. Yeah, I think visual people want to, commemorate things that way, which makes sense to me. Spike Milligan's epitaph reads, "I told you I was ill." There are some funny ones out there. I'm not sure that's where I would go with this, but photo organization, and this is going to be a theme you will see. I was trying to capture things in this fall curriculum that were side projects that I wanted to center so that I could make some progress on. As you can see, didn't really happen, didn't go anywhere with photos, and so I'm not going to worry about it. My approach, methodology, whatever you want to call it, is that, well, that didn't work. So we're going to try the opposite now, which is setting it aside and not worrying about it and just continuing as before. It was good enough and that approach didn't work. So we'll go back. Cat Paws epitaph, question everything. Gara says, we print a lot of photos via Snapfish. Yeah, it's very cheap and it's safer than keeping them digitally, which you can lose. We lost digital pictures of our son when he was little. Fridays are my digital cleanup day, but I've barely been able to keep up, let alone work on the backlog. See, that's a good idea. That's the sort of thing I've been playing with, is like having a day where I check this thing. And I have some of those throughout the month, like the number of the day, and I'll say, "It's the 5th, I gotta do these 2 things. It's the 10th, I've gotta do this one thing. It's the 25th, I have this thing to check." But I think there's only a handful of those I can do before my brain's like, "Too many, you need to make a list," and then it no longer functions as a, reminder like a regular day. Hello, Gore Vidal Comic Books. Welcome. Memories become stories when we forget them. Doctor Who. That's a nice quote. Yeah. The line between nonfiction and fiction that feels true. That's a good one to think about. Amazon Prime member. Sorry, and it comes with unlimited photo storage. Ah, okay. So subscription model. Yeah, that's what we're being harvested for. I had a tote of albums and photos stolen during a move, very few images prior to 2000. So yeah, Gareth and Eva are giving both sides of the coin here. Digital photos can disappear and physical photos can disappear. So yeah, very few images prior to 2000 for me. I have a set number and they're not digital, right? Those are only physical. I used to have so many photos of bands, says Jim, but lost them all because I move around so much. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, so that's the first course. I have 3. We're going to update here. The next one is plant knowledge, right? So for this one, I wanted to advance some useful skills, right? Getting to know the plants around me. And it was building on an herbalism course I did, also wanting to get better at survival skills, right? Getting to use plants as food, as medicine, and for enjoyment, right? So I had materials for this. I had assignments. Some of the assignments were getting to know the Agam tree alphabet. I don't know if you remember that from the video, but I did study those and I was able to, at one point, I checked that off for myself back in December. So that's pretty cool. Those are 20 basically they look like runes, kind of like Viking runes, but less dwarvish and more like tick marks that represented trees, but also letters in the Celtic Druid alphabet of like prehistory that we don't really know much about. So the letters corresponded to the trees that in that language started with that letter. And so I did memorize them. And now, of course, 3 months later, nope, 2 months later, 2 months later. Another assignment was adding additional California native plants that I could identify by leaf shape, and then Oregon native plants, and then making a product from one of the plants to consume or use, like a jam or a salve or a tea. And no, I didn't do any of these like processing tasks. I did make a really pretty tableau of found plant and animal matter back in Northern California. So I've got rosemary, I've got turkey feather, I've got a bit of spruce, I believe. I got acorns and I think alder, not catkins. I can't remember what they're called, but I've got a bit of a nature tableau on top of my secretary. So that was nice. That was like bringing some nature into my house. So that's partly satisfying it and then sharing the process. So just like the photos, I was going to do some bookish mail or blog posts. I thought I could do some writing to reflect on getting to know these plants better or photos to document. Of course, I took lots of photos, but I only had a few that I was like, oh, now I know what this is. As I shared with you for the best of 2025 tag, which I'll pop up here. And that was that I finally figured out what the tree was with the really pretty lanterns. And it's called a golden rain tree. And it's from China. And I thought, yay, I finally know what that is. So I got to the bottom of that one. So for this one, I gave myself a C, maybe C plus. I had measurable goals. I had materials. I had like 10 books that I could have read, and I read 1.5. So you know, not as focused as I could have been. And again, I'm still going to be observing plants, paying attention to them, trying to find out what is in my own environment, asking experts, people who know more than I do, which is which, and trying to like just inculcate that into my brain, into my practice. And I did get the book on plant. What was it called? Anyway, it's making things from plants so that assignment about making a product for one of the plants. I do want to do with some like essential oils to make dish soap. So I bought things for dish soap and hopefully can combine that to actually make it that works, because I've gotten some really obnoxious smelling dish soaps and I use it every day. So that would be a real high yield of satisfaction if I could change it into something that I enjoyed smelling rather than like men's cologne overpowering eucalyptus notes. So maybe C plus, but I give myself a C for this one. What about you guys? Do you have remarks? Do you have similar goals about plants? What do you think about this one? I'll catch up with the chat here. The camera talk. Eva says there's a very nice digital camera in that same tote. Oh, that's a bummer. Search dumpsters forever. Yeah. Eva says, I love this curriculum thing. It's the first I've really seen of it, though I've heard lots of talking about it. My husband is doing plant things. He's starting a garden. That's right. You were talking about what you were going to plant. We had a little bit of discussion of that, which is very exciting. I think it's like plant propagation season at this point here in the Pacific Northwest. So maybe that is where you are. If you're negative, whatever, you're definitely not planting anything yet. Want me to mail you a stick? Yeah, plant pals. C, but on a curve, A plus. There we go. There's the maths working out for me. Thank you, Eva. And Kat's here, just popping in to say hey before heading off to be picked on. Oh, give them as good as you get, Kat. Yeah, okay. So Eva says he's starting some things inside. Outside? No. Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right. So we'll pass on from my plant knowledge one to my final fall curriculum thing. And, I did put a lot of notes and thought into this. So this I called my activism / stroke bravery module. Do the dang thing. So this was me like having done a lot of reading, learned about activism, trying to learn about community, and trying to put it into practice, right? How do I get out there after being so isolated from the pandemic, after living alone for so long, after not dating anymore since the election? Like there's lots of strikes against knowing and being comfortable with being in community, but we needed it after the election. And so I was going to try to challenge myself to do some of these activities and form some stronger bonds. So what did I have? What spurred these activities? What gained? Which areas am I most passionate about and why? So I had a bunch of books. Obviously, curriculum is going to be like, here's the books on the syllabus. I had like 20 and I said, pick 10. So I thought in 3 months I could do 10 books on activism. How many did I read? 1, 2, 3 and a half. So the half one, I keep showing it as a book in progress. They are really impactful reads. And I didn't do an audit to see whether the books that I did choose to read might have had activism themes, but they weren't on the list that I put down here. So we'll leave that for now. The assignments that I give myself on this one was to volunteer for something and just like show up. And I do give myself credit. This is why I gave myself a C+ for this one, for one of the organizations which helps people declutter. And so I went and I joined a group for the first time that was going to this woman's house, and she had stored a bunch of stuff for people for a long time and they never came back and got it. So it was just emptying a lot of stuff out of her basement and back room, cleaning it up so that she can use it. She can either rent it out. And the goal for that organization is to keep people in their houses so that they don't lose them, because it's a historically Black neighborhood. And the way things have worked is that even if it's not evictions, even if it's debt and mortgages, things like that, there are small ways that are legal where you can change the entire skin tone of a neighborhood by pushing them out from being unaffordable. And, this is just helping people stay in their houses, get more use out of them, and Yeah, make their lives better. So I really liked that mission statement, and I did sign up and I did sign the waiver and I did show up and met a lot of great people. And then we went out afterwards and like just talked and got to know each other. So that was really good, but I did it once. So, and then I left. I left town. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't go back to do it again. I'm planning on taking it up again um, this month or next month. They just had a new system where now you have to like register in an app or something, and so I need to figure out how to do that. Just got that yesterday. But I do plan on acting in it again. They seem like great people. The other thing that I did, and I would have been halfway done by now, except that things changed because of the hellscape that is America this month. Um, there's a thing in America called CERT, which is emergency training for communities and neighborhoods. And in Portland area, we call that NET instead of CERT. And so basically it's like learning how to triage, how to do basic first aid, how to plan with your neighbors, exit points, who to contact, what things are safe, how to turn off utilities, stuff like this, which I do not know. And so I thought this would be really valuable. And so we signed up for this. There's a lot of training. There's like 3 days of training and then a field exercise that you go through to get certified so that you can be one of these helpers in the neighborhood. And so it was going to start the weekend I got back in January. And then that was the weekend after Renee Good was murdered. And so they had to divert resources to riot control and or peacekeeping. I don't know. They just had to cancel that weekend's trainings. And that is why we're sort of thrown into a different schedule. So I have yet to meet anyone or go to any trainings yet, but the ball is rolling. So I give myself credit for that, for a second thing for the activism module. I think this Sunday is the next time we're gonna be starting up, and it'll be out of order. So hopefully it makes sense to me. I am a little nervous about this. I don't have a buddy to go with, so I'll be going on my own. But here's just hoping for the best and that I learn some good things and then can be a helper in the neighborhood. There's a weird thing about like which neighborhood I'm in because I associate with the people like below me in the hill, the neighborhood below my hill, not the people behind me, which are in the really expensive homes. And so I'm actually in the map associated with that neighborhood, but we'll see. We'll see how flexible they are. So yeah, so that's a big thing, and that is like one of the things that's about to start. So it didn't start in the fall because they didn't have any trainings. So yeah, that's where I am. And again, the assignments for that, I did show up, I did volunteer. The books is pretty low, and then brainstorming other causes. Climathon is one of those things. So maybe I should bump up this one to a B- as well. So not as bad as I thought. So what do you guys think? Activism attempts, what's going on in your life for this? What do you recommend, etc.? What is this? What? I'll say, where was I? Oh gosh. I like this course. Okay. I think this is talking about the activism one. Eva says, oh gosh, I love that so much. You did that and you're only giving yourself a C+. That's like the course project worth 94% of the entire grade. Oh. Eva says, my big dream is to be a landlord that doesn't make profit and keeps people in their homes at rent under market value. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where you're like, the principles are there, and then how they act in real life just sort of squander all that goodwill. It's hard. Daydream, not dream with a plan. Dream? Screenshot. Eva says that doesn't count against your score. Sounds like a great program and I love it. I want to look into such things. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Eva says, we had a family meeting with adults in my home. We decided that due to no safety net of a village, we cannot attend protests with ICE on purpose, but will cause good trouble when we can. Yeah. ICE, leave. Get out of here. I don't even know what this means. 5 memberships. Extra credit. So Thank you, Eva. I don't know what this means yet. I think this just means that you contributed money to the membership of the channel. So thank you. I don't know if it goes to other people. That would be cool. A membership. Nice. I was working on next month's community posts. Nice to see you, Mojo. Hello, hello. I get some money. That's what it means. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll give myself a B- for this one because I had bigger plans and I couldn't stay focused. So this is the theme, is that fall curriculum was these things that were on the side that I was trying to get better at and I wanted to center. But because of all the other things happening, October, November, December, that took up my time, I wasn't able to really focus on them. So we're ditching that strategy, as you will see. And next quarter, the winter quarter, which I'll explain, and you're going to help me come up with assignments because, as you see, it's blank here. I've got 3 different courses, and we'll go over those and talk about how to measure them and how to maybe make this better. But the approach is different. I have a dram, which is good. Which a dram. If you don't know, a dram is a unit of measurement of a drink, like a sip. A wee dram of whiskey is usually the way you say it. Okay, so 5 people have memberships now. How does it know who to give them to? Is it just the people in the chat? It means 5 people in the chat are now members of the channel. What? That's so cool. All right. So maybe I'll see people with membership things next to their names. I only see Eva at the moment, but maybe it'll change. And then member for 15 months. Yay! I think that might, I don't know. I know what that is. That's green. So maybe that's gifted. Yeah, I don't know how this works. I'm sort of out of my depth here. Well, we'll see if anyone's little emojis change. Catpaw says, I have a dram of cold tea. Mine, I actually heated mine just before. It's not completely cold, still a little warm. Eva says, it's random, but it will choose subs first, I think, then those present more often. Cool. YouTube randomly picks gift memberships. I did not know this. Awesome. A new YouTube thing that might actually be fun. Ven was actually just talking about collaborating on videos and how that works. And that's also something I don't know how to do. So if we want to like experiment, let me know if you want to do that. Mojo says, I wasn't in the chat. I saw it pop up while working. Mojo is now a member. Yay! There you go. Okay, I think he was pointing to Mojo because now she's a member. Yeah, very cool. I love a dram in my Glencairn glass. Exactly, the dram. Iced tea sounds lovely. Cold tea, iced tea. I summoned you, Mojo. That's nice. Okay, so let's put that away. Let me go back to the start comments because this is our little break. Fall is done. Putting it away, and I'm going to ask the questions about grades because obviously I graded myself pretty harshly, and now talking about it, I'm probably walking that back a little. So we'll say maybe it's a B- average. Ven's answer, I didn't get many grades I considered bad. The top and bottom grade ones stick because they highlighted my approach to learning. One was entirely exam-based. The other was coursework-based. Interesting. So how you were evaluated affects what grade you got, and so that's what stuck with you. Makes sense. I don't remember any bad grades, says Eva. Nice. Julius says, apparently I don't remember bad grades. I thought I was a B student in grade school. I checked my old report cards and no, I was more of a C student. Well, that's good. That's rosy glasses, I think. I think I remember my 4th grade report card coming back with a bunch of like bad grades for me, and that it sticks in my memory. But other than that, I just remember the B's I got in math. Catpaw says, I don't spend any time thinking about grades. It was such a long time ago. It feels irrelevant. Fair. Okay. Is this again? It's a different timestamp. Gifted 5 memberships and member for 15 months. I don't know what that means. Is YouTube going to tell me what that means? It's the same. Allow gift memberships. Do I have to allow it? You can receive one of my members' channels, including Margaret. Like visible. I think this. Do I have to allow it for other people, or is this asking me to allow it for myself, which would be kind of silly? I'm gonna allow it and see if that allows people in the chat to like say yes. We'll see. Okay, it was just notifying me again. That's weird. Okay. All right, just trying to keep up here. Whew. Okay. Oh, this is because I'm in the starred comments. Duh. Never mind. Such a long time ago. All right, so I'm caught up with that. Excellent answers. I think not remembering bad grades is probably a sign of a healthy self-esteem at this point. So well done, everybody. It's not ice, just cold. Yeah, that's what I gathered. Eva has a question. What would it have taken to get an A+ in your own curriculum? Okay, so here's the answer. So for photos, I would have had to change my routine from uploading and backing up to setting aside a time per week where I would at least do an hour of tagging and labeling and culling so that I was chipping away at it. And I did not do that. I think I did it once. So there's no routine. And so there's no like catching up on the pace of out of controlness. There were also no like sharings. Like there was no photo printouts because I don't have a printer anymore. There was no blog posts about photo organization progress. And I thought that would be a good like landmark, whatever it's called, signpost, milestone. So that would be an A+ if I had done those 3 things, but I did not. On the plant ones, I had all those books to read and I only read 1.5. So if I had read more books, if I had also spent time identifying plant shapes and like quizzing myself. So I did not do that. And I also did not make a product of a thing like a tincture or a tea or anything on my own or share the process. So those 4 things, and I only did like half of one. And then the activism one, I would say read more of the activism books and what else did I put on the materials thing? A+. I think it just would have been more of a routine, right? Like I went and did one thing, but it didn't get like turned into a regular commitment. And that's what I was hoping for. Regular commitments seem really hard for me right now. So that is that is the goal. But good question. Going to post content about my grades now. Eva says, I got a D- in university in a math course, but it was me doing the minimum amount of work I had to do. Getting A's on that work, just stopping at a D-. All right. And do it again. You have to allow it for yourself. I just changed my setting to allow. Okay. So I think if people in the chat, if you're interested in a membership, you can click on the comment that says allow or gift memberships and then say allow for yourself to see if it awards you with a membership. We'll see. My grades were so long ago, says Mike, but I remember one teacher commenting, this student will never get ulcers. Too relaxed, maybe. What a comment. What a strange comment. Oh man. Well, I'm guessing that means that you stood out from your peers because everyone else is stressing out about grades and you either had it very easy or like just didn't care. And it was just good enough. And, that's an attitude I think is very valuable today in today's complex world. Don't talk about grades, says Mojo. I was an A+ student except for communism. Oh my gosh, which we had to take to graduate. Had an A, everyone else failed. So the teacher gave me an A+ and the rest of the class a D. Wow. That sounds like a kind of a harrowing social ringer to go through. Jim says English literature was my worst grade at O level. Oh, do you teach English literature at all? Like in a adapted format for your ESL classes? ESOL? I did the worst in U.S. history, says Eva. I don't retain names and dates very well. And since that is all that they check, I saw a really great video from a historian where she was talking about history bros, and everyone in the comments knew exactly who she meant, because it's the people who think they know all the things from learning names and dates and don't understand why the things happened, you know? So I think that's a lot more valuable. Jim says, at A level, I got an A in geography and a fail in chemistry. Okay. Ugh. Also, though, I just skipped that class a lot. The history or the math one? I think you mean history. Yeah. I almost failed out of my BA because of dropping classes. Nice work. And says, I had an art teacher in high school who said, has anyone ever told you you're blind? What? Well, that's just unkind. That's just uncalled for. Catpaw says, geography was my worst. I scraped a pass, only just. Wow. And now you're a globetrotter, so joke's on them. Eva says, oh yes, I did well in geography, but didn't retain a bit of it. Yeah, I may have forgotten a lot of capitals along the way, for sure. And then Mojo says, oh, they always called me Smarty Pants, but I learned early how to control my ADHD, although back then it was ADD. Yeah. I just saw someone use ADD as a term, and I thought, wow, no one uses that anymore. Yep. I'm not 10 now, y'all. Oh, some people still are mentally, though, you know? And if they hold high office, there's not really much we can do about it. Gareth says, shortly after I studied European Studies, which was essentially the EU, the rest of the country failed that unit. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah. I saw another video where it was like someone talking about the different periods of stress as a millennial, how we've lived through. And one of them, and I'm guessing they were real headlines that she was putting in a little picture in picture. It was Queen supports Brexit. And I was like, what? Did that happen? That it seems like a very sensationalist headline, but I didn't catch which newspaper it was, which could have helped me discern. We didn't have a single novel, 2 plays, and Chaucer's Nun's Priest's Tale. Didn't interest me at all. Yeah, well, that wouldn't interest me at all. So, and I have yet to read any of the Goldsmith on my shelf. So I feel you. All right. So out with the fall and in with the winter quarter. Ta-da. Okay. So I got three courses again this time, but as I said, I'm changing my approach from side projects that I wanted to focus on, which didn't happen, to things that I have to do anyway, right? Have to do anyway. So let's make that the focus. I'm already going to do them, so let's turn it into a bit more scripted, specific, measurable. And this is what I'm going to ask you guys. I'm sure most of you have heard of SMART goals, specific, measurable, something, blah, 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 right? Specific and measurable are the pieces that I don't have on this. So if you can think of things that you would like to see from me on these areas, pitch them in, and maybe I will put them down as my assignments for each of the courses. So this is a continuation. This is like, you know, from chemistry 1 to chemistry 2, activism unit 2, IRL and online. So what I did here, I got my little start last night, is that there's 2 branches of this. One I was calling basically like neighborliness, because I realized in the whole isolation thing, there's community online and you guys are awesome. So I do want to keep that alive, keep those lines strong. But then I also need to do different type of work to insinuate myself into my community and my neighborhood and that sort of thing, right? So I want to do both. Of course, I want to do both of everything. So YouTube community, obviously the readathons are trying to get me out there and connect with people. And so that's on there. I'm already doing that. We have Black Author Tuber Readathon coming up next month. And hopefully y'all have chosen a book from the spreadsheet. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a thing that I do as part of the AuthorTube community to boost the profile of our Black AuthorTuber friends, and I'll be hosting Black AuthorTubers on my channel to talk about writing as well as reviewing books. So check that out in the chat if you don't know. That's the spreadsheet link that I just popped in. So yeah, I'm already doing it. I'm going to make it a course. That can't fail, right? And then the other branch of social activism, part 2, unit 2, is going to be IRL, community in real life. So I just put join in. So again, that's the NET certification, which is going to happen. It's going to start this weekend and hopefully be done by February. Uptown potlucks, right? So I'm in a region of Portland where some people call it Uptown. And I invited some of my neighbors over, and tonight is our first potluck where I had one of the neighbors over for dinner. And this is just like the radical intention of saying, hey, do you guys want to come over and just have dinner and chat and get to know each other? Which feels really weird, right? It's like preschool and you're like, do you want to have lunch with me? And it's feeling vulnerable, but again, makes me nervous, but I want to do this so that I can get more easeful at it, so that it comes more easily. And we just establish those lines of, hey, you're gonna cat sit for me, and I'm gonna take in your mail, and she's gonna check to see whether your car is fine or whatever it is, right? So just establishing those networks, and the more you use them, the stronger the linkages get. And so trying to do that in my community here in my neighborhood, which is separate from NET, because NET is emergency preparedness and this is like being neighborly. So that's just a big goal of mine and happening, right? And then the third thing I put is the resilience meetups. I did have this last term, but it's basically the idea is, since the election, I want to be more resilient, and the networks that I had of friends in different areas, I was trying to pull together to have once a month meetups, whether it was brunch or whether it was dinner, where we came together to talk about like what we were dealing with and ask for help, or just like vent and maybe let each other know opportunities that they could help with. And it was going okay. And then I think it sort of stutter stopped when I went to California last year. I need to get in touch with some of the folks and kind of restart it. But yeah, the resilience group, which is a loose network of friends, and they're really great people. So there's like a mending circle, and there's some people that go to theater, and yeah, we all love to eat. So there's that. So yeah, in real life and online, trying to do both of those. And I'm already doing them. They're already scheduled. So I foresee this going well. Is there anything else you could see as outputs that would be helpful to focus this or just make it better? What do you guys think? Let me catch up in the chat. Mike is talking about the history bro comment. When in Holland, we had to choose between an American and British school. We were told that America emphasized facts, UK emphasized concepts. Don't know if this is fair. Well, when in Holland, is this when you were in school? Then I think if it was, 20 plus years ago, that might be fair. To me, it sounds fair. I don't think we're in fact land anymore here in America because everyone has their own facts. Jim says the T in SMART is time related. Okay. Instead of SMART goals, I like to start with just MT goals, measurable and time bound. Okay. Well, I did put a time bound in here. So finish 30th of March. So I figured we're halfway through January-ish. That gives me about a month and a half. So it's stretchy, right? I'm hoping to finish them because I know the first couple of weeks of April are going to be tax focused. So yeah, this is why I gave myself that time bound limit. That's the spreadsheet link. Greg says, if you have the time boundary set at a quarter, then you just need to define measurable goals for the quarter. Gotcha. M&T. That's pretty good. I hear Portland and instantly go back to Grimm. Yeah, filming location for the TV series. What facts, says Mojo. Gareth says community action like protests and demonstrations, etc., make you feel less isolated. Yes. And in fact, we had Hands Off and we had No Kings. I went to 2 protests last year, and it was the first time I'd ever gone to such a thing, right? I'd gone to things where there were lots of people, but definitely since the pandemic and as an adult, it's the first time I remember going to a big mass gathering. Working in Holland in the 2000s. Okay, so maybe it's when your children were going to school. That was the other possibility I was thinking. 2000s. I mean, I think we were still in fact land. Lying, but fact land. All right, so that's my activism unit, 1 of 3. What do we have next? Writer life. And again, I'll just put this under here. If people want to throw in specific measurable outcomes that they think would help me hone this skill, let me know. So I left off attempting to edit my book 2 in the Widening Gyre series last March, approximately. So almost a year. And I have had various guilty feelings about needing to get back to it, and then resistance about wanting to pick it up, and fear of not being able to find the love of writing again. Like there's a whole existential malaise about this one, right? So I want to do this anyway. I have to do this anyway this year for publication, for scheduling and just like feeling like a useful human being reasons. And so one of the things that I have just done is sent the beginnings of the process for the book cover to the people that I paid for a book cover last year. And they've sent me back a first draft. It's great. They didn't see the part where she's a nun. So we'll have some interesting back and forth, but I figured that sort of exciting visual aspect would help me like get back into it and feel excited about the details. What else do I have here? One of the other things I thought might help me get back into editing Amelia's book is journaling. So the last 6 months, I would say, I switched from writing in the morning when I wake up to both writing in the morning when I wake up and in the evening before I go to sleep, right? So in the morning before the phone and in the evening after the phone, so that the last thing I have and the first thing I see are my own thoughts rather than whatever messages other people have sent me or videos that I turn on, right? And I think if I add journaling before and after these editing sessions, it might be a similar insulation from worries of non-writer life getting into the book, right? The existential malaise getting into the book. So if I can insulate it a little bit with like thinking about the characters or wondering about a theme or something like that, and then maybe afterwards it's talking about what if I did this, or how do I find the identity of this person, or what's that name? I'm thinking more about it and getting curious about it again, rather than saying, I don't know, I don't care, I just want to walk away because it's too uncomfortable for me, which I think is what has been happening in the last 9 months. So that's an idea, the journaling before and after. I want to do at least 3 sessions a week. So a session, I mean like an hour, right? So like concentrating on the manuscript for at least 3 hours a week. I don't feel like that's too many. I feel like that's pretty doable, kind of like a gym session. You go 3 times a week. I was doing that pretty well last year. So that seems manageable, specific, measurable, and cover done and editor booked. So by my time-bound 30th of March, I definitely need to get the cover done because that involves other people and I don't want to string them along. But that means I also have to decide, the character stuff, and then have the editor session booked, like the professional editor, which means I have to do all my rereading, editing, etc., so that I know how. Well, there's 2 things. I know when I'm going to send it, so I know when I'm going to be finished editing on my side, and also how busy they are, how far out. At least I'm in line to get my manuscript edited. So when I did my looking at the year, I think I wanted to send it out in March, but that was 3 months ago. So I think knowing it when it will be booked by March 30th will be fine. Yeah. So existential malaise. What do you guys think about those assignments and goals? Can you think of other things, or what do you think about that? Writer life shudders. Okay. If you don't know, you guys, Gareth has started a Patreon, and the Patreon is for his writing goals. So he wants people to basically uh, form a bolstering sort of fan club that will be like, we're interested in what you have to write. We're here waiting for all of your output, whether it's song lyrics or fiction writing. And so we're here to help you along and help clap your angel wings into existence, right? That's the stated goal. So it's separate from the Booktube channel, but just needing that extra push. And I definitely feel that, Gareth. So we're here. We're here with you. Mojo says, just spent the past 2 days uploading 4 books. Woohoo! Back to vellum tomorrow for the rest. So formatting. Yeah. Gareth says we could have a weekly check-in between us to help us both get the writing rhythm back. That's an idea. Yeah, have a buddy. So if I'm looking at 3 editing sessions per week, maybe it could be in between those sessions. Like my weeks are not really Monday to Friday, and if you have school Monday to Friday, maybe we can do a weekend check-in, and I could just think of it as Wednesday to Wednesday, something like that. That'd be good. That'd be good. Can I join in that weekly too then? Yes. Cat Paw is working on a book as well. Several books, just like Eva. Several irons in the fire. Yeah, why not? Cat Paw is not on Voxer. I'm trying to think. We all have different methods of communicating. So, and Gareth is not on Discord, I believe. So not sure how we would do that together. Maybe it would be separate, but and Mojo with the encouraging, you got this. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so that's the writer life goal. One of those things in front of me that is a must do. It's like what I consider my job. So I really want to have that as a moving forward thing. And then the final thing is a fun one, right? Because this is something I put in my calendar year as well. I did not travel anywhere last year except back and forth to California for work. And so I basically have come to planning a big trip, letting myself go on a big trip every other year. And so the last one was in 2024, and it was for research, and it was super fast. And that was not something I would like to repeat. So we will be stretching this one out to like 2 weeks to make the transatlantic flight worth it. And I'm considering some different itineraries, but so far the thing that I threw out was like, what about this in September? Looks actually pretty reasonable price wise. So now it's been like 3 weeks since I've checked it, but one of the fun things for me is planning. So for travel planning, I have new places for inspo. So 2 of the 3 places on my list are new, and I have not been there yet in my life, which is fun. I needed to solve cat sitting conundrum, book flights, trains, and a car, book lodgings, and read up on cultural landmarks. So of course, one of the things I like to do when I travel is look at what happened historically in the area, visit the tiny museums, visit whatever that region is famous for, etc. So, September, shoulder season, better for pricing, but also lots of places start closing. So it'll be a bit of a race to find where I can stay and then what I would want to visit, and if people are in those areas, who I would like to visit. So yeah, so that's like the fun one. Again, already doing it, planned in the schedule. And so that's the approach to the winter quarter, is that I have to do these things for my sanity. So we're gonna make it our personal curriculum. So what do you guys think? Oh, you are both on Instagram. So I don't think Instagram allows me to do audio messages on my computer, but or WhatsApp, and I'm not on WhatsApp. I hear it's really cheap to go to Greenland right now. Is it? I don't know. Julie says, I can't wait to find out your 2026 travel destinations. Exciting. Yeah. Yeah. Um, they don't necessarily indicate future fiction projects, but they might. uh the colossal stupidity. It's hard. It's hard. Hi, Sam. She says, Sanity, am I in the right place? Yes. Yes, you are. Where have you already been in your travels? Well, the last several times I have gone to the UK and straight to Scotland with an overnighter in London because it's so expensive to stay there. And those are great research trips, beautiful places to stay. Depending on the season, whether it's trains or cars, less or more stressful to travel in. I love the trains. But yeah, the car is a little stressful. I have been to Ireland and specific places in Ireland, but there's a different place in Ireland that's on my list this time. So yeah, that is a possibility. Mojo says, I love Scotland. Yes. Beth Ann says, hello, hello. Hello, friend. Yeah, good that you came to the UK before we knew each other. Well, I last time I was there was 2024. I think I knew you then. Yeah. I will be there again. Don't worry. Mike says I think you mean 50-50 Irish Scottish / South African. You're going to how many of us can fit in your suitcase? Exactly. Yeah. I know. And yeah, there's just okay. And here's well, okay, I'm getting like confused here. I'm getting ahead of myself. But like I said, travel planning and writer life often commingle and influence each other, shall we say. And one of the ideas I have for an addition to the manuscript right now has to do with a place that is not in the UK at all, but I think it would be really good to add to the story, but I have no experience of it. So do I also go there? Like, yeah, there's just too many places that are interesting that I've never been in the world. So it's hard. It's hard to choose. It's always hard to choose. Yeah, we did know each other in 2024. Ireland is on my list of places to go back to. 5 days was not enough. No, definitely not. Yeah. Here's the thing, Gareth. You were talking last night for you about someone knocking on your door at 2 in the morning. That's when I said filing that info away. Now I wouldn't want to do that because I think I would freak out your family, but that would be really funny. Oh, what we will do for a gag, right? Mojo says to Gareth, whereabouts in the UK? I keep threatening the hubby with another trip to London. Gareth's in Portsmouth, and I don't know how far away that is train-wise. Is that like 2 hours? I haven't checked into that yet. I haven't been to the UK for nearly 10 years, says Jim, the Brit who's been abroad for a long time. Greg says, I only travel vicariously these days. Kappa says, same. Yep. And Mojo says, Gareth says, to Monique, I'm right at the bottom of the coast, Portsmouth. 100%. That's why I'm trying to get as much done for our 4 trips this year. Woo! And yes, Portsmouth is 2 hours by train. But Portsmouth, you mentioned, is on an island in some of your videos. So I was like, okay, well, is it a big deal to get off the island and to the mainland for you? Because I've experienced this with Brits before. When I am traveling like 12 hours by air, by train, and they have, like 2 hours to go to meet me, and it's too difficult. So, yeah, it depends on schedules and commitments and responsibilities, of course. So I don't know how difficult it is to get off the island and traffic and all that stuff, but it would be fun. It would be fun, especially if you got like a bookstore meetup or itinerary for the area. Ah, yes. I thought Portsmouth was in America in New Hampshire. Is it the capital of New Hampshire? Like I said, I've forgotten a lot of capitals from my geography days, but I thought it was. So it's an island connected by 2 roads. It doesn't normally feel like an island, but at the moment, one of the roads is closed, and it's bedlam. Gotcha. Oh, yes, we steal your names all the time. It's true. It's true. All right. So, yeah, that's the shift I'm making. Instead of trying to make side projects a focus, I'm just going to make the classes the things that I have to do anyway. And you know, late last year, I had sort of a fizzling in my brain about all the different hobbies and interests that I have. And like, do I still do any of these? I still go, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And I'm attracted to certain things, but they're no longer part of my life. And so I wrote down all those things that I've engaged in intensively over my life and would appreciate doing so again, like in a less intense format. And like wondered if I could engage in those for a few months at a time and then just sort of rotate, like if I went to horseback riding lessons for a month and, did like 4 weekly lessons so that I got to be around horses for a little bit. That would be really neat. Or if I was a member of l'Alliance Française, then I could go and, go to their conversation hours or like what about that activity or that interest would make me feel alive again, Would it be a film club? No, because I am not a French cinema appreciator. I will tell you that right now. It is too sophisticated. It's too French for me. So I really appreciate more the conversation style and the just listening to the words rather than thinking about new wave, whatever, what have you, because it's too much. I'm not a cineast, let's say. So that sort of thing. And I haven't really moved on that. Like I said, it's interests that are peripheral, so I don't know how I'm going to incorporate them, but for grounding, for anchoring, for getting my life back in gear, I have these 3 that I'm going to focus on for the next month and a half, and I think that will help. Just in general. So I appreciate the help on the goals and the suggestions, and I will talk to Catpaw and Gareth maybe about check-ins. When do I start on this? Now, right? What about now? Because again, I'm having a potluck tonight. So let's see. Oh, Greg, thank you. Concord is the capital of New Hampshire, but there is a Portsmouth. Yeah. Good call. Good call. Kappa says you could continue to Portsmouth Harbor and hop on a ferry to the Isle of Wight, though. I've never been to the Isle of Wight. I've heard some things. I think, yeah. It's not high on my list. Let's just say that. Portsmouth has the Charles Dickens statue, right? All right. Eve was getting some grilled cheese for lunch. Dickens was born in Portsmouth, says Jim. I missed all the fun parts. Oh, I don't think you did. Gareth says traveling takes you out of your small world focus and helps to be philosophical about goals. Yeah. Agree. And I think for me, for now, travel planning is part of my looking forward to something later in the year. As a reward, right, for the writing part, because it's only going to happen after I publish the next book. That's why I gave it to September, because I need to get the book out and keep moving on and get the next story down. So yeah, this is how I'm thinking about it. And I'm trying to phrase this accurately. Sometimes travel planning can be an exercise. It can be a daydreaming. It can be an escape for sure. But I think confining this big trip to once every 2 years gives me the chance to focus that energy that is about learning and gathering and just more positive for me rather than treating it as a getaway and like a runaway from responsibilities. It's treating it as a reward for all the work I do here on my own, open to interpretation. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Yep, big Dickens statue in town center. I've done videos on Portsmouth if you're curious. Yeah. And Beth Ann says, book. Yeah. We're hoping, fingers crossed. Exactly. It's the second reason why we moved to Poland. Yeah, I think philosophical about goals. Yeah. And Mike says, traveling also allows you to see how well people live who don't think the same as you on everything. Yes. Yeah. I think comparatively, Americans going abroad now is definitely an escape valve. It's not slow living. I do see videos about people doing slow living, sometimes in the US, sometimes abroad. So that's not equivalent, but sane living, I think, might be the tag I would put on that. Because right now it just feels insane here. Eva says, most people I know have never left the nation. A majority haven't left their state. Yeah, I think that is the statistical analysis. And so it depends on who you know, right? Whether you are in groups with people who travel or groups with people who don't, and who crosses those lines to get to know different types of people. That's why I think the online community is really great to know people with different experiences. It breaks down the barriers that routine and habit and access might make real in real life. Yeah. What's the first reason? What's the first reason? Did I say second? I don't know. I don't know what I said. Sorry. I've already lost it, and it's like within 1 minute, 2 minutes. The second reason why we moved to Poland. That question wasn't for me. It's for Mojo. My husband, Ray. I don't know how to say her name. That is a good song though. That's like all over the waves, the radio waves, for the past month. Good reason. Gara says, I'm going to Copenhagen soon, and it will be just to switch off during the Easter break. Yeah. Change up the routine. Give yourself a break, because if you're in the same environment, sometimes it can be hard to not feel the same, not compunctions, compelled to do the same things, and the guilt to do the more work. Yeah. Mojo says, my husband got me back into writing, and he wanted to move back to his hometown here in Poland. Nice. And Copenhagen is lovely. Yeah, it's going to be cold there if you go there soon. I went in April or May. I was there for a few days to visit a friend, like 2019, I think. Sounds whimsical AF. I love whimsical. Yeah. A lot of fond memories from there, Copenhagen. And Greg says, I have neither the health nor the money to travel anymore. Vicarious travel is my only option these days. Doesn't stop me from loving life. Yeah. Armchair travel. This is why I have such a robust travel section, because I love reading about other people's travel. And in fact, I have a tiny book haul to share with you if you want, since you just reminded me. I picked these up at Rerun, which is a vintage thrift / cool store. I finally got this book, Kosher Soul by Michael W. Twitty. It's food writing, which I think of as in the same category as travel writing, because food cultures are so rich and so interesting, and they, form around things that you would never think of on your own. So this is someone who is African American and Jewish, and like interrogating both of those traditions to see how they work together in America. Speaking of slow living, Made from Scratch, Discovering the Pleasures of a Handmade Life by Jenna Wogenrich, who has lived in several places in the US. And basically there's her experiences of country living and sort of stepping back from being a web developer. So big changes. And then, of course, got a political book here that I stole at a good price, Erasing History by Jason Stanley. I did read How Fascism Works, and I think this is going to be more focused and revealing for me. So talking about media and, basically the manual for what's been happening in the US. And then in the new book I got from Postcard Bookshop, Africa is Not a Country, Notes on a Bright Continent by Dipo Faloyin. So this looked really interesting. He's a Nigerian author, and he's talking about his experience of different countries and the histories and personalities of the countries. So that looked really good. So that's my little travel and politics and food and living different experiences from mine, vicarious travel, if you will, Greg. And let's see. Ava says, same, but I've never had the money. So we're talking about different circumstances enabling travel or not. Same from Catpaw as well. Eva says, even as I obtain money, travel is so far down on my list, where it wasn't always this way. The internet has really changed my priorities in this way. Yeah, interesting, because one thing will satisfy the itch maybe, and then, you can juggle things differently. Mojo says, how we met was wild, and he helped me fulfill my childhood dreams of being a writer that travels. That's amazing. Okay, Mojo, when you come on in February, you need to tell me how you met. You need to tell us that story, because now I need to meet cute. You give me hope. Catpaw says, Twitty is excellent. Yes. Eva says, such a love story. Awesome. Jim says, I'm reading Bill Bryson's Down Under. Brings back memories of when I traveled to Australia in 1987 and 88. Marion traveled to Australia as well. I think she was there for several months. Yeah, I don't see that in my future. I'm curious, especially about New Zealand, but it's just so far. The Cooking Gene, Anita says, I follow him on Instagram. Yeah, he seems really, really finger to the pulse type of writer. So I'm really excited for that one. Yep. Mike says the Africa book is great. Okay, so Mike's already read it. It's from 2022, and the paperback is 2023. So yay, very excited to have a good recommendation. Oh, I might cry when I hear it. Oh dear. I'd better cry when I hear it, says Eva. Oh, okay, excellent. I don't remember the date that I sent you, but we'll let everyone know. I'm bringing the schedule together for Black AuthorTuber Readathon appearances, and I'll mock up a little graphic of a calendar for when people are coming for the fantasy, for the romance, for the solo, all that kind of stuff, so that you can plan around. And it's my channel, so it'll be all live and interactive as much as I can. So with that reminder, I think that's me, everybody. Oop. So thank you for being here, hanging in with me to look at this dang report card and give me some hope for future things that I have to do anyway. And maybe we'll see some A's come April. That would be nice. And maybe some books or book products. That'd be great. So I really appreciate your guys' support and cheering and just being here and being lovely. So thank you all. And I will see you next week Happy reading. Take care of yourselves, everybody. And bye. Bye, everybody.